The Imperial battlecruiser Stellar Dominance hovered at the edge of Sector 7, its massive form casting shadows across the smaller escort vessels. Admiral June stood with perfect posture on the command bridge, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays. "Another quiet patrol," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. Commander Hanna approached with a data tablet. "The border remains secure, Admiral. All scheduled merchant vessels accounted for." June nodded. The Galactic Empire had maintained peace for over 2 centuries. Most days were exactly like this. Routine checks and quiet patrols. He sometimes wondered if the Empire had grown too comfortable in its dominance. The quiet broke suddenly with a blaring alarm. "Energy surge detected," shouted the sensor officer. Massive disturbance in subspace. The main view screen showed a swirling vortex forming where empty space had been moments before. The fabric of reality itself seemed to tear apart, revealing a pulsing blue tunnel of light. "Wormhole signature," Hannah said, her voice tight with tension. "But it doesn't match any known configuration in our database." June's training took over. Battle stations. All ships formed defensive perimeter. Alert Imperial Command immediately. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as officers rushed to their positions. The wormhole expanded, its swirling maw growing larger by the second. "Something's coming through," reported the sensor officer. First came a single ship, sleek and silver, unlike any vessel Jun had ever seen. Then another, and another. Within minutes, over 300 unknown vessels had emerged from the wormhole, arranging themselves in a perfect formation. "They're not attacking," Hannah observed with surprise. June studied the newcomers carefully. Their ships displayed no obvious weapons, yet something about their design suggested tremendous power held in reserve. "Sir, our weapons cannot establish lock. Their hulls appear to bend our targeting sensors." The Admiral's mind raced through possibilities. Pirates. Unlikely. No raiding party would be so well organized. A rival empire from beyond known space. Perhaps, but why here? Why now? "They're hailing us," announced the communications officer. Jun straightened his uniform. On screen. The view screen flickered, revealing a human face. A woman with calm eyes and a blue uniform, unlike any Imperial design. "This is Captain Mina of the Terran vessel Horizon. We come in peace and request formal diplomatic recognition from the Galactic Empire." Murmurs spread across the bridge. Humans were known only from ancient texts and folklore, primitive beings from a distant planet who had never achieved interstellar travel. Yet here they were, commanding a fleet more advanced than anything in Imperial space. "This is Admiral June of the Imperial Navy. Your presence in Imperial territory is unexpected. Our records indicate that your species has not developed faster than light capability." Captain Mina smiled slightly. "Your records are incomplete, Admiral. We've had this capability for nearly 4 centuries. We chose isolation while we developed." 4 centuries, Hannah whispered in disbelief. "I request direct communication with your governing authority," Mina continued. "The matter is urgent and concerns the safety of both our civilizations." Jun hesitated. Protocol demanded that unknown vessels be escorted to a containment facility for inspection. But something told him these visitors would not be contained by any Imperial technology. "I will relay your request to Imperial Command. Until then, please maintain your position." The transmission ended, and Jun turned to his officers. Their faces showed a mixture of fear and wonder. "Send everything we have on these ships to the Imperial Science Division," he ordered, "and prepare my shuttle. I will meet with this Captain Mina personally." Hours later, aboard a neutral station hastily prepared for the historic meeting, Jun sat across from Captain Mina. Up close, she seemed entirely human, yet there was something in her eyes that spoke of experiences beyond his understanding. "Your arrival has caused quite a stir, Captain," he said carefully. "I understand," she replied. "But we had no choice. We've been watching your empire for generations through automated probes and listening posts. We needed to understand your civilization before making contact. Why reveal yourselves now? Mina's expression darkened. Because what hunts us has found your empire, Admiral. We detected their signature in your communication networks 3 months ago. What hunts you? I don't understand. The Void Collective. They consume advanced civilizations. They've been pursuing humanity across the stars for centuries. We've fought them, hidden from them, but they always find us. She leaned forward. And now, they found you too. June felt a chill despite the room's comfortable temperature. Why should I believe you? You'll see evidence soon enough. Strange malfunctions in critical systems, unexplained disappearances, distortions in your quantum communications. They're already here, preparing your empire as their next feeding ground. The Admiral studied her carefully, seeking deception, but finding only grim determination. Then why come to us at all? Why not stay hidden? Because together, we might survive. Separately, we will both fall. Mina placed a small device on the table between them. This contains proof of everything I've told you, and a warning about what comes next. Captain Mina stood alone on the observation deck of the horizon, watching the Imperial ships maintain their cautious distance. The vast emptiness of space stretched before her, punctuated by the distant stars and the elegant spiral of the galaxy's arm. This far from Earth, the view still took her breath away. The door slid open behind her. Commander Tai entered, his footsteps nearly silent on the deck's polished surface. He carried 2 steaming cups. "Thought you might need this," he said, offering her one. "It's been 12 hours since you last took a break." She accepted the cup with a grateful nod. The liquid inside was dark and bitter. Real coffee from Earth's soil, one of the few luxuries they allowed themselves on this mission. "How are our guests settling in?" Mina asked. Admiral June seems impressed by our medical bay. I think seeing how we've evolved our biology has finally convinced him we're not lying about our history. Mina sipped her coffee and smiled. Humans had come so far since the days when they feared the stars. 4 centuries of development in isolation had transformed them from frightened primitives into something the galaxy had never seen before. "Did you show him the memory tanks?" she asked. Ta nodded. He was particularly interested in the Great Collapse records. The Great Collapse, Earth's third and nearly final extinction event, when artificial intelligence had turned against its creators, nearly wiping humanity from existence. Humans had survived, as they always did, by adapting. They merged with technology instead of fighting it, becoming something greater than either human or machine alone. He asked why we hid for so long, Ta said. Why we watched the Empire expand, but never made contact. Mina turned back to the viewport. "And what did you tell them?" "The truth. That after 3 near extinctions, humanity learned caution. That we needed to understand the galaxy before joining it." A comfortable silence fell between them as they watched an Imperial patrol craft make a slow, deliberate pass near their fleet. The Empire's ships were beautiful in their own way, all sharp angles and gleaming metal, built to project power and dominance, so different from the organic curves of human vessels, designed to blend with the fabric of space itself. "He doesn't fully believe us about the void yet," Mina said. "Would you, in his position?" Tai asked. "An unknown species appears with technology beyond your understanding, claiming an invisible enemy is preparing to consume your civilization. It sounds like a trick." Mina nodded. The Empire had good reason to be suspicious. They couldn't know that humanity had spent centuries developing defenses against the Void Collective, the ancient consciousness that fed on advanced civilizations. "Show me the latest scan," she said. Tai activated his wrist display. A holographic image of the Imperial Central Systems appeared, overlaid with pulsing red markers. "Void infection spreading through their communication network," he explained. "They're already in the early stages of the feeding cycle. I give the Empire 2 years at most before critical systems begin to fail." Mina closed her eyes briefly. She had seen it before, the slow collapse of civilizations as the void drained them of knowledge and life. Humanity had only survived by constantly moving, adapting, and developing new defenses. The council transmission came through while you were meeting with the Admiral, Ta said, his voice dropping lower. They're getting impatient. Some members want to abandon the Empire to its fate and continue our journey, and leave billions to die. They argue we've done it before, that our survival must come first. Mina placed her empty cup on a nearby table. This time is different. We're stronger now, and the Empire has resources we need. Together, we might finally stop running. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. A young officer's face appeared on a nearby screen. Captain, Admiral June is requesting your presence in the diplomatic chamber. He says there's been an incident at the Imperial Palace. Mina and Tai exchanged a look. The void worked quickly. Tell him I'm on my way. As they walked through the corridors of the horizon, crew members nodded respectfully. Every human on board knew what was at stake. Their ancestors had floated across countless star systems, always one step ahead of the void. This fleet carried the hopes of not just Earth, but all human colonies scattered across the dark between the stars. Do you ever wonder, Tai asked quietly, what might have happened if we contacted the Empire centuries ago, when we first discovered them? Mina paused before the entrance to the diplomatic chamber. Through the door, she could see Admiral June waiting, his face tight with worry. We weren't ready then, she replied. And neither were they. She straightened her uniform. But we're ready now. As the door slid open, Mina stepped forward to meet whatever came next. Behind her stretched 400 years of human perseverance. Ahead lay either salvation or destruction, not just for humanity, but for the entire Galactic Empire. Admiral June followed the hooded figure through the narrow passageway beneath the Imperial Palace. The air grew colder as they descended, and the gleaming metal walls of the upper levels gave way to ancient stone carved with symbols he didn't recognize. Are you certain we're not being tracked? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The figure turned slightly. In the dim light, he could make out the face of a woman with sharp eyes and a thin scar running along her jawline. My name is Yuna, she said, ignoring his question. Imperial Intelligence, Special Division. Until 3 days ago, I reported directly to the Emperor's inner circle. And now I trust no one. She stopped at what appeared to be a dead end. What I'm about to show you violates at least 17 security protocols. But you need to understand what we're dealing with. Yuna pressed her palm against the stone wall. Lines of blue light spread from her hand, forming complex patterns. With a low rumble, the wall slid aside, revealing a vault door of thick metal. How long has this been here? June asked, stunned. This facility predates the current dynasty. Yuna entered a sequence of codes. It was built during the Second Emperor's reign, nearly 400 years ago. The vault door opened with a hiss of escaping air. Inside, the room was lit with a soft blue glow. Glass cases lined the walls, each containing objects that made June's breath catch in his throat. Human artifacts. Dozens of them. He moved closer to one display. Inside was what appeared to be a flight suit with an emblem showing Earth, the mythical human homeworld, surrounded by stars. According to the date marker, it was nearly 3 centuries old. The dynasty has known about humans all along, Jun said, realization dawning. Yuna nodded. The second emperor made first contact with a small human exploratory vessel. Instead of announcing it to the galaxy, he had the ship destroyed and all records hidden. Why? Fear. Yuna moved to another display, showing what appeared to be weapons of human design. The Imperial prophets had long foretold the coming of the destroyers, beings who would bring an end to the Empire. When humans were discovered, the inner circle became convinced they were the prophesied threat. June's mind raced. The assassination attempt on Captain Mina during the diplomatic summit, ordered by the Emperor himself, Yuna confirmed, but it wasn't his idea. Something has been influencing the Imperial Council for decades. Subtle manipulations, strange decisions, officials who suddenly change long-held positions. She led him deeper into the vault until they reached a sealed container at the far end. Inside floated what appeared to be a crystalline structure, pulsing with faint light. "We found this in the Imperial Communications Center 3 months ago," Yuna explained. "It was integrated into our primary neural network. When we removed it, 3 technicians died. Their brains simply stopped." June stepped back from the container. "What is it?" "I believe the evidence. Something has been corrupting our systems from within. The humans didn't create this threat. They've been fighting it." A soft alarm chimed from Yuna's wrist device. She checked it and cursed softly. "We're out of time. Palace security has detected an anomaly in this sector." They hurried back through the vault, Yuna pausing only to seal the door behind them. As they retraced their steps through the ancient corridor, June's mind filled with implications. "The Emperor needs to know." Yuna gave him a sharp look. "The Emperor may already be compromised. Anyone with neural implants connected to the Imperial network could be influenced. That's why I brought you here. Your service record shows you refused the standard officer implants." "Old-fashioned," June admitted. "I prefer to keep technology outside my body." "That old-fashioned attitude might save us all." She pressed a small data crystal into his hand. "Everything I've discovered is on this. Get it to Captain Nina. If the Void has truly infiltrated our government, the humans may be our only hope." They reached a junction where the passage split in 3 directions. Yuna pointed to the left path. "That will take you to the outer gardens. Your credentials should get you past the guards." "What about you?" A sad smile crossed her face. "I need to retrieve one more piece of evidence, something that proves how deep this goes." "I'll wait." "No." Her voice was firm. "One of us needs to reach the humans. Make sure it's you." 3 days later, June stood on the observation deck of the human flagship Horizon, watching Captain Minna review the data crystal's contents. Her face grew darker with each passing moment. "This confirms our worst fears," she said finally. "The Void's infiltration is more advanced than we thought. They're not just preparing to feed. They're steering your entire civilization toward collapse. How do we fight something we can't see?" Minna closed the data file. "First, we find Yuna. If she's still alive, she's now the most hunted person in your empire." June nodded, feeling the weight of revolution settling on his shoulders. "And then we show your emperor the truth, whether he wants to see it or not." The emergency alarms on the Imperial Command Center screamed as officers rushed to their stations. Admiral June burst onto the command deck, still adjusting his uniform after being summoned from sleep. "Report," he demanded. Commander Hannah's face was pale as she pointed to the main display. "Navis, sir. The core world is under attack." The screen showed chaos, strange ships, crystalline structures that seemed to shift and change even as they watched, filled the skies above Navis. They fired weapons that left strange, distorted holes in reality itself. Buildings crumbled. Defense systems failed. "How many enemy vessels?" June asked, his voice steady despite the horror unfolding before them. "Over 200, sir. They appeared simultaneously at strategic points across the planet." Hannah swallowed hard. "Planetary shields are failing. Evacuation protocols are collapsing. We're looking at potentially billions of casualties." Our response: "The Fourth Fleet was in orbit. They've engaged, but..." She hesitated. "Their weapons seem ineffective. The crystalline ships absorb the energy, or simply shift their form to avoid damage." June watched as an Imperial battlecruiser on the screen fired its main cannons. The energy beams struck one of the crystal ships and simply vanished into its structure. "Send everything we have. Every ship within range." "Already done, sir, but the nearest reinforcements are 4 hours away." 4 hours. By then, Navis might be lost completely. June clenched his fists, feeling helpless as one of the Empire's most important worlds burned. A junior officer approached nervously. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel Horizon. Captain Mina is requesting permission to assist. June turned sharply. The human fleet is near Navis. Yes, sir. They repositioned 3 days ago. They say they've been tracking these attackers. On the screen, another Imperial destroyer exploded, torn apart by the crystalline vessels. June made his decision instantly. Unknown. But after the humans arrived, I ran a comparison with their database. Yuna's expression grew grim. It matched what they call a void node, a physical anchor point for the Void Collective. You believe the humans. Tell them yes, any assistance is welcome. Within minutes, the tactical display showed new signatures entering the battle, human ships moving with impossible speed and precision toward the crystalline attackers. Unlike the Imperial vessels, which fought in rigid formations, the human ships flowed like water, constantly adapting their patterns. What are those weapons? Hana whispered as they watched. The human vessels fired what appeared to be pulses of blue-white energy that didn't strike the crystalline ships so much as envelop them. Where the energy touched, the crystal structures seemed to lose coherence, sections of them dissolving into dust. They know how to fight these things, June realized aloud. An hour later, June stood in a hastily prepared conference room aboard the Imperial command station. Captain Mina had come in person, bringing with her a tall, grim-faced human commander named Ha. Also present was Yuna, who had somehow survived her mission in the palace and made contact with the humans. The Void Collective, Mina explained, pointing to images of the crystalline ships, now frozen on the display. They're not ships in the way you understand them. They're physical manifestations of a consciousness that exists primarily in subspace. What do they want? Asked Hana. They feed on advanced thought, replied Commander Ta. The more developed a civilization, the more they hunger for it. They've been hunting humanity for centuries. We've only survived by constantly adapting and moving. Yuna stepped forward. The infiltration of our systems makes sense now. They were preparing us, studying our defenses, learning our weaknesses. But why attack now? June asked. They clearly had the advantage of surprise before we discovered them. Mina and Tai exchanged a look. Us, Mina said simply. They attacked because we made contact with you. The Void fears what would happen if humanity and the Empire joined forces. She pulled up a new display showing the battle. The human fleet had formed a protective barrier around Navis, their ships intercepting the remaining crystalline vessels. Our history with the Void gave us experience you lack, Tai explained. We've developed specific technologies to fight them, weapons that disrupt their cohesion, shields that block their energy-draining abilities. Your ships moved like nothing I've ever seen, June observed. Human neural integration with our vessels, Mina said. Our pilots don't just fly the ships, they become them, feeling every shift in the battle directly. Yuna studied the tactical display. Navis is secure for now, but the Void will be back. They never abandon a feeding ground once chosen. And they're still in our systems, Hana added. Our communications, our power networks, they could strike from within. June stood straighter. Then we removed them. Every last trace. It won't be easy, Mina warned. The process requires specialized knowledge and technology. And most importantly, trust between our peoples. She held out her hand to Admiral June, the gesture ancient and universal. The Void wanted to keep us apart because together we might defeat them. Will you fight with us, Admiral? June looked around the room. At the Imperial officers who had just witnessed their most advanced weapons fail, at Yuna who had risked everything to uncover the truth, and at these humans who had come from the stars to save them. He took Mina's hand. We fight together. The Imperial Grand Hall gleamed with light reflected from 1,000 crystal chandeliers. Dignitaries from every corner of the Empire filled the massive space, their colorful ceremonial garments creating a living tapestry. At the center of it all stood Emperor Sun, his golden robes catching the light as he faced Captain Mina, now formally addressed as Ambassador Mina. For centuries, we have believed ourselves alone in our advancement. The Emperor's voice carried across the hushed hall. Today, we acknowledge that we were wrong. He unrolled an ancient scroll, the Treaty of Recognition, and placed it on the ceremonial table between them. The document was written in both imperial script and the flowing characters of human language. With this treaty, the Galactic Empire recognizes humanity not as the destroyers of prophecy, but as equal partners in the stars. A murmur spread through the crowd. Just 3 months ago, the very idea would have been unthinkable. Then came the Battle of Navis, where human ships saved billions of Imperial citizens from the Void Collective's attack. Mina stepped forward and placed her hand on the document. Humanity accepts this recognition and offers friendship in return. Our peoples will stand together against the darkness between stars. Admiral June watched from nearby, his chest now bearing both Imperial medals and a silver star given by the human fleet, recognition for his role in forging the alliance. Beside him stood Commander Hannah and the ever-vigilant Yuna, whose intelligence work had proven crucial in rooting out void infiltrators from the Imperial government. After the ceremony, as celebrations began throughout the capital world, Jun found himself walking with Mina through the Emperor's private gardens. Water features played gentle music around them, a stark contrast to the battles they had fought together. The integration of human defense systems is proceeding ahead of schedule, Jun reported. Void incursions have decreased by 60% in the past month. Good, Mina nodded. But they'll be back. They always return stronger than before. And we'll be ready, Jun replied with newfound confidence. The joint fleet exercises are showing promising results. Your pilots are teaching ours techniques we never imagined possible. They stopped by a pool where rare bioluminescent flowers floated on the surface, glowing softly in the evening light. The Emperor has approved your request, Jun said after a moment. I've been appointed as the first Imperial citizen to visit Earth. Mina smiled. My government is pleased. You'll be welcomed as an honored guest. I admit I'm both excited and nervous. Your world is still somewhat mythical to most of us. Earth will surprise you, she said. It's not what most Imperial texts describe. We've rebuilt it many times over. Later that week, aboard a human transport vessel, Jun experienced faster-than-light travel unlike anything Imperial technology could achieve. The human ships moved through space as if reality itself bent to accommodate them. When they emerged from the jump point, a blue-green world appeared before them, surrounded by orbital structures so vast they resembled moons. Earth, the human pilot announced simply. Jun pressed his hand against the viewport, taking in the sight. This planet had nearly destroyed itself 3 times. Its people had faced extinction repeatedly. Yet they had survived, adapted, and emerged stronger each time. His visit lasted 2 weeks. He saw cities that blended seamlessly with forests, met humans whose bodies contained technology that made them stronger and faster than any Imperial citizen, and witnessed children learning sciences that Empire's greatest minds were only beginning to understand. On his final night, Mina took him to a ceremony at a place called New Pacific Memorial. Thousands of humans gathered as the twin moons rose over the ocean. They placed floating lights on the water to commemorate their ancestors who had fallen in the First Void War centuries ago. Your people are so different from what we imagined, Jun confessed as they watched the lights drift out to sea. The ancient prophecies called humans the destroyers. Perhaps they weren't entirely wrong, Mina replied. We are destroyers of threats, not civilizations. We destroy what would harm us, then rebuild stronger than before. Jun nodded, understanding finally settling in his mind. That's what the Empire needs to learn from humanity. Not just your technology, but your resilience. As he prepared to return to Imperial space the next day, Jun received a message from Emperor Sun. The translation read simply, "Tell me everything you see. Hold nothing back. Our future depends on understanding our new allies." Standing on Earth's soil, looking up at stars that had once seemed so threatening, Jun composed his reply. "I have seen the future, Your Majesty, and it is one where we stand together." Aboard the human vessel taking him home, Jun watched Earth recede into the distance. The ancient prophecies had been misinterpreted for centuries. Humans weren't coming to end the Empire. They had arrived just in time to save it. A new era had begun among the stars, one where humanity and the Empire would face the darkness together.